is not on the air. She is in Nashville, Tennessee at her alma mater, Fisk University, for their annual reunion. So she is out doing big things. But we have a great show for you today. And you know, I always tell guests this before I make this announcement. I grew up in church and they taught us if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. And they would just call me up. I'd be on program and didn't know. But guess what? I don't think these gentlemen knew that they're not just guests today. They're sitting in as guest co-hosts. Welcome.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
I want to welcome as our guest co-host none other than the Mocha Man himself, the owner of the major coffee brand Sip and Savor. That's none other than Trez Pugh the Third. Get up. And of course, he brought his mentee with him. He is the first time he on the Brunch, but he's a young man doing some great things. Jelon welcome. Listen, I'm so happy to have you. So listen, I'm gonna just give it to you as guest co-host. That means you are gonna interact the whole hour. We're not just gonna interview you. We're gonna talk a little hot topics. If it get too hot, you cannot talk. but feel free to chime in. But listen, believe it. It's the man's takeover. You know what? It ain't the brunch bunch today. It's Marcel's man cave. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna talk. Well, Zoe looked at me like, "Hold on, I am in the room." So we do got Zoe in the room, but you don't count right now. It's all about the brothers today. But we got some great hot topics and some great things happening in the world. And of course, when you got two powerful black brothers, two different age groups doing amazing things, working together, it's always gonna be a great time and a great story. So as Charmaine from Uncle Remus Saucy Fried Chicken always says, call your friends and your frenemies and tell them to tune in to the Brunch Bunch right here on Inspiration 1390.
He's fabulous.
Millie is at the red door.
Yeah, you got me with this one, brother.
See. Yeah, listen. I'm like, I get everybody. I never let them. But Tamara and I here, we got guests. Like, all right, guest co-host. Here we go. All right. New title, brother Trez. How you feeling, man?
Good, man. Everything is love, brother.
Good to see you. Listen, we gotta get yours in the can. We in the can yet?
No, not
we
yet.
We gotta
bro.
get in the can.
That's big time, yeah.
I like that canned coffee.
You been good, man? How's the family? Everybody good?
Everybody good. My 3-year-old broke his arm Monday. I said, Lord Jesus.
If you ain't already got enough to do.
I know. I said, come on, God. I know we strong, but please don't let nothing else happen right now. But he in good spirits.
The trusted pest control experts serving our community. Mention the Brunch Bunch and receive a special discount on your first service. Take control today.
So Zoe, take out in the raw. We're just gonna do a what's going on story. Oh, okay, and then we'll go into the interview.
312-217-9605. RV Pest Solutions.
But hello there, sunshine.
You could be part of the solution. Join us for the most fun you'll ever have at a doctor's appointment. It's the Black Men's Wellness Day happening.
No, you've been calling.
Come and join us.
It was gonna do not disturb.
He's sending you the voice.
No, when I'm in the car, it's on do not disturb. So when you text, I was texting somebody, but then I saw I missed your call. But maybe my voicemail is off. You are. You called from. Look, I got you. Millie Frick the Frick effect.
And suddenly your phone alerts you. Someone's at your door.
He doesn't even know what TikTok is.
I'm like, wait a minute, what? Trey, he on the TikTok.
Yeah,
he the guest co-host today.
So what's going on?
I ain't gonna talk about no problem.
Okay, well, yeah.
I know he's gonna get in all that mess.
Right now, secure
No, I'm gonna just talk. It's a little politics.
But every particular.
I know. Listen, trust me. That's why I gave it to you. You gotta talk about.
10 seconds to what's going on.
I'm gonna keep it light.
That's 866-447-3344.
You Trace hurt himself.
He who?
He hurt himself.
How?
The body brown.
Well, what's going on with? Listen, I aforementioned that our guest co-hosts in the building are some black brothers making it happen. But before we get into the interview, there's a lot of things happening in the world, and when we say hot topics, it's always a hot topic these days. But last month, of course, today is the first day of May. For those of you that did not know, last month in April, the Trump administration initiated a controversial overhaul of the Smithsonian Institution's exhibits, targeting displays that highlight Black resistance and systemic racism. This move, part of a broader campaign to reshape the portrayal of American history in public institutions, has sparked significant backlash from historians, cultural leaders, and the African American community. So, Executive Order 14253, titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. I didn't know that was the title of that order. So on March the 31st, President Donald Trump signed Executive Order, the Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. The order mandates the removal of what is described as, and I quote, improper ideology from federal cultural institutions, including the Smithsonian. It calls for the elimination of exhibits that divide Americans based on race and the reinstatement of monuments and displays that have been altered or removed since January 1st, 2020, if they are deemed to have been changed to, and I quote, perpetuate a false reconstruction of American history, end quote. Now, one of the first actions under this directive was the removal of the 1960 Woolworth's lunch counter sit-in exhibit, a significant symbol of the civil rights movement. Now, Trump officials have begun returning such artifacts to their original owners and dismantling displays that focus on Black resistance. Critics argue that these actions are not merely about historical interpretation, but represent an erasure of Black identity and contributions to American history. Now, the administration's actions have been met with strong opposition. Black churches across the U.S. have rallied in support of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. Leaders like Reverend Robert Turner of Baltimore and Chicago's very own Reverend Otis Moss III of Chicago are encouraging congregations to support the museum financially and publicly, emphasizing its role in preserving African American history. Historians and educators have also voiced concerns, likening the administration's efforts to authoritarian tactics aimed at censoring and sanitizing history. They warn that such measures threaten the integrity of historical scholarship and the nation's ability to confront and learn from its past. Now, the Smithsonian's purge is a part of a wider initiative by the Trump administration to reshape national memory and identity. I said national memory and identity. This includes cuts to federal grants for institutions like the Whitney Plantation Museum in Louisiana, which focuses on the realities of slavery in America. And if you didn't know, the Whitney Plantation is one of the oldest and most intact preserved plantations from that era. Now, the administration's actions reflect a broader agenda to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, raising concerns about the future of historical representation in the U.S. So, as the debate continues, many fear that the erasure of critical aspects of American history will leave lasting effects on national identity and the collective understanding of the country's past. Now, no matter what side of the aisle we are on politically, I think it's a travesty when we start to try to suppress and erase history. Now, I know the Bible teaches us we overcome by the words of our testimony. When you have a drinking problem or drug addiction, the first thing to fix that problem is to admit that you have a problem. So I think when the country erases evidence and history of a problem that she once suffered, she'll never heal from that problem. And so, brothers, you can feel free to chime in if you like. What are your thoughts, Brother Trez?
Well, for me, it seemed like this bad nightmare. And one day you're going to wake up. You can't believe that people that are this smart, this educated, have this much experience, especially some of the brothers that's in decision-making positions, are going along with this idiocy.
Yeah.
So what I try not to do, and I try very hard, is not focus on how bad it is, because it'll take away from what we're focused to do, the good things. I'll just say this. We've made it through slavery.
Mm-hmm.
We've made it through Jim Crow. We've made it through all kind of issues coming up through the civil rights era, and we came out smelling like roses. We'll do the same thing again. It's just going to be a little bit different because they're taking away a lot of things that probably is going to mess up some issues that's going to take longer to fix.
I'm glad you said that because I know Brother Jelon over there said he looked like he got something to say. But, you know, I think the issue is what I'm more afraid of with this.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to remove the exhibits and put them in storage, that would be one thing because we'll have a new administration to go get them out of storage. But they're sending them back to the owners, which Woolworths is no longer in existence. Right. So who's getting this counter and who's to say they're not some white supremacists who going to burn it up soon as they get it to make sure it's never gotten again. So that's what scares me.
Yeah, for sure. Just to piggyback a little bit off of what Trez said, I think it's like, you know, really important to like as a people and as a whole just come together more and just start to like, you know, fight back against these things because I feel like sometimes they try to divide and conquer. So essentially it's like if we just stand on business just a little bit more, I feel like that'll fight back against some of the things that's going on and these things wouldn't happen as so like really often, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's just like we've stood up against so many different things and we pick and choose. So it's like we fight for a discount at a store or something. But when it comes to this, we'd be like, oh, okay, we're just going to put our hands up. So I think as a people, we just got to start coming together more and start to fight back on some of these issues.
I love it. And that's true. And I was reading your hat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. That don't say what I think it say.
So
make Chicago juke again. I love that.
It's so funny because every time I'm out and I got this hat on, people be like, hold on, wait a minute. They double take.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not that hat. It's not that hat.
Yeah. Well, that's a good conversation starter. But to go with what you said, we got to fight. Our people, and Reverend Jesse Jackson said this many years ago, that the African-American community suffers from an epidural that has not worn off yet. Meaning, we, you know, when women have birth, they get an epidural, they don't feel the pain. And so we don't feel the pain because this is painful when you think of it. But we have to not only feel the pain, we're solution based on this show, not just myself, Tamir and I've been like that all my life. If there's a problem, let's figure out a solution versus talking about the problem. The solution is we need to own. And, you know, if there's a way to start buying some of these artifacts, creating our own museum that we own that is just subsidized by federal, state, local money. But like the preachers in this story said, make sure we're supporting financially the African-American Museum because how do we not know if that's next? And, you know, we did see the Trump administration in the first 30 days of office, they start putting up federal buildings for sale. Specifically in Chicago, right? And sometimes I'm just a businessman, you know, I'm always like, all right, opportunity, you know, but we can't just cry about stuff like Jelon said. We got to be more proactive. We got to fight the power, but let's just not fight with our words. Let's fight economically and own because they can't take what we own, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things. I think the accountability piece, I remember a while back, I want to say about 7-10 years ago, I used to always ask, why come people like Bill Cosby, Michael Jordan, Oprah, and all them don't create another almost like Tulsa or something? You know what I'm saying? I own grocery stores, I own clothing stores, I own, you know, restaurants and all that. And far be it beyond me, I'm nowhere near a billionaire, but I do my research. And we spend over $1 trillion, that's with a T, as Black folks, $1 trillion in different industries because we're consumers.
Yep.
Imagine if we took a percentage of that money and put it in something toward what we own. You look at Chinatown, you go to these different Greek towns and all that. That money stays in them neighborhoods for weeks, if not months, before it leave out. You know, they got their own Walgreens, they got their own grocery store, they got their own shoe place to get repairs, everything. The money come in our communities, wherever it may be, and it's in there for hours. And before you know it, we downtown, we up north or whatever, we buying our stuff everywhere else.
No, and you know, it's funny that you went there because we're working on the west side and the south side of them. What I love about Bronzeville, and listen, I just saw another restaurant pop up on my Instagram yesterday. I'm like,
I know you
chicken around the world. I'm like, Lord, geez, I can't keep going on 47th Street. But we're actively creating a Black business district because you said something. My mind always go there too. We got all these wealthy Black folks. Why don't they come together and create industries, create communities, and help us build thriving business corridors? Because a thriving business corridor in the community helps the community thrive
Yeah.
because you hire who look like you hire who live close to you. And that's when we start talking about economic development. So we got to be very intentional. And so what we're creating, and on the way here, that's when Millie said I went answering the phone. I was deep into some research, putting together a proposal. But mentor guy told me many years ago, you got Ukrainian Village, you got Chinatown, you got Little Italy, you got Boys Town. Every community has an economic driver, but where's Blacktown? Right? And so shout out to Brother Malcolm Crawford from AAA BNA who taught me that. And we have to create, and so we're creating Soul City. Right?
Soul City, I
the
like
Soul
that,
City corridor. But what our issue is, we're the Austin community on the west side, and research has shown that 85% of the disposable income of our community goes across the street to Oak Park.
Wow, true.
And that's a travesty in itself, though. But I was out last night in the West Loop, and I'm walking down the street taking pictures because I could see the vision for my communities. And I told my homie, shout out to Brother Eric over at GQ, I said, I'm sick of walking from restaurant to restaurant or business to business in other communities. I want to do this in my community.
Right. That's what had me get sip and savory. I grew up on the north side in Old Town, and I talk about this all the time. They be like, it's a Starbucks down the street and all that. And come to, I said, man, I love competition.
Yeah.
Because you know what? When they go there, they're gonna be like, oh, what's that over here?
Yep.
Let me go check it out. I mean, everybody was thriving. All the bars, all the breakfast joints, anything that popped up over there. People spend money in places where there's other businesses. And I know Jalon could speak on this because we was on another radio show and he talked about, empowerment and money. But I think going back to the billionaire piece, and I'll close with this. If you got people with $75 million jets, you got people that got a home and on every continent and all, they can't spend this money in a lifetime. What would it take for each of them to take 20%? And I'm nowhere near a billionaire, but I done took care of this.
You almost there.
No, but I'm just saying, on the real tip, I don't have a percent of what they have, but the little bit I did have, and it brings me self-gratification, to take care of disabled vets, recovering addicts, people that just got out of prison, just need a hand up, not a hand out. Imagine what someone like me or you can do the way we think. If we had billions, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I mean,
look, we got to get it. We're going to get there.
Yeah, I mean, but to your point on that, I would like to say I understand it, right? Because sometimes when we go to help our own people, we kind of get slapped in the face from that, right? And I understand it because it's like, all right, I've tried to help, and it's like you gotta have discernment about who you're helping.
Yeah.
Right. It's like because even with Trez, like he always told me, he was like, man, I don't really do no mentees. I don't really do no mentees. Yeah. And for me, it was just like I was persistent and consistent. It was like hitting this line, like, hey, I want to just come, shadow you. And I feel like you gotta be able to give those opportunities to the right people because you will get jaded by helping people that don't really, I wouldn't say necessarily deserve it, but they're not appreciative of the opportunities that you're presenting them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, it's like having that discernment. And I think like people like Michael Jordan, Oprah, and all of like the Magic Johnsons, I feel like they should, go out and seek that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go out and seek the people that's like, all right, he actually or she actually, cares about this and is willing to put the time in, So I feel like if we would just do that as a whole and as a people, like our people with money, I think we'll be just fine. Having discernment because it sucks. I see it every day. I feel like, how did he get this opportunity? Like he don't even care about what this is. Like he just like going about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got the person that's killing themselves day and night, working tooth and nail and still don't get that opportunity because I've been there, like playing college football, D1 ball, seeing it. Like I'm in the film room 5 hours. I'm on the practice field 3-4 hours working out. I purposely scheduled myself to only have 2 classes a week so I could film, practice, all of this, and just for my coach to be like, oh yeah, life ain't fair. Yeah. Like, what does that mean?
Keep
like,
it living as the old folks say.
Take this L with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, so for me, I'm like, you mean to tell me I put all this work in and you still give it to the dude that don't come to practice, that come to practice not caring. So that right there taught me when I was 19, like, regardless of the situation, keep working hard and just have discernment about who you help.
Well, I'm glad you said that, and I'm taking notes. I've got a lot of answers to responses to those points, right? And those very good points. But I'll say this: I am led by a spiritual being, the God that I serve first, right?
Mhm.
The old folks taught us that the Bible is right, somebody's wrong. And if you really want some life, even if you're not a believer, which I know everybody listening to me is a believer, if you're not a believer, if you follow biblical principles and apply them to life, it will help you, right? Jesus healed 3 lepers, but only one came back to say thank you. And that story teaches us that we're not always going to get a thank you. But the question was, will you be the one, right? Then on the flip side, in all their ways acknowledge God. He will direct your path. If you let God lead and guide you, he will direct you on who to give, who to support, who to uplift. I think as men and women, when we do it naturally and on our own being, that's when we run into so many problems.
Oh, yeah.
I am I just got chills. I just thank God.
Mm-hmm.
I have been working for myself since I was 15. I'll be 37 this year. I got 22 years in business. Has it been great 22 years? Heck no. Have I been burnt? Yes. Have people not appreciated? Yes. Have I stopped giving? No. When I went through the last trials of my life, the last 3 years, if I could run through this manuscript, you'll be like, I never wanted to live those 3 years you lived. But I never cursed God. I never stopped believing. I never stopped spreading how good God was, even though my situation was bad. And I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. I said, God told me he's blessing me now for my faithfulness. And when we learn to stay faithful, even when it's not looking good, they say the saying, dancing in the rain. When you can dance through the storm, that's when you bless. That's when the sun, because the sun is going to shine again. And so as Black people, we got to understand that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. We can't expect them to be our family, but we can't give up on them either, because Italians ain't giving up on Italians, Asians ain't giving up on Asians, and every community have a bad seed. But even to my good brother Trez's point, we think strategically, and I know you do.
Yes, sir.
I promise I know you do. I think about if we could just collectively, and we got to get away from this mindset that we can't work together, because we can. Work with those who want to work, and don't work with those who don't. And you'll know that's simple. You'll know the workers from the non-workers real quick. Because when the work start, they ain't working. We got to focus on the workers, because if we focus on the naysayers and the haters, we'll never get nothing done. But when we have these tax sales in our communities, now I think like a billionaire. My mama said we holy billionaires. I'm like, I want to be a natural billionaire too. But when the tax sale comes up and people come in our community and buy taxes, you know what I did? I got the whole tax roll for my ward, and I calculated everybody taxes, and I could have bought every bulk. And this is how the people come in our community and do. They buy the taxes, and then you lose your house. Now they own it. I could have paid everybody taxes in the whole ward that were behind, and taxes were about to get sold for less than $1 million.
Wow.
Now, think about the economic power we would have had, because, of course, I wasn't going to be just throwing people out of their houses, right? But we would have owned hundreds of properties, less than $1 million, where we could have then start working with them. Hey, now we do own this, but you're just going to be a tenant, and you'll pay us rent. We're not going to put you out until we can help you get your credit together and you rebuy it from us. Or if you just don't want the house, we're going to still give you a few extra dollars. We know you didn't pay your taxes and lost it, but now we're going to rebuild and develop the block.
Right.
And so it's some strategic ways that we can do it. We don't need the billion yet. We're going to need them. Because, we need our own airlines and we need our own banks. But we got to figure out what we can do now to buy back the block. I don't think economic development takes as long as it takes. I think we just, and I don't know if I can even say that saying on the air, the old saying.
Don't say it then.
Yeah, we just take
say it when we go to break.
Yeah, we take a little longer than we do, because we got a lot of talking, we got a lot of meeting. They don't call me Action Jackson for nothing. I had to get in my mind a long time ago. Me buying multiple properties on my block is not greed. It's out of necessity. Because if I don't buy it, somebody that don't look like me gonna buy it, and they're not gonna do what we need done with the property. So I'd rather own it, so then I control the narrative and what happens. So with that being said, 'cause I can talk about this for all day, every day. It's my favorite conversation, economic development and helping our people. And if we can learn how to strategically come together to combat bad administrations,
Mm-hmm.
if we can come together and understand that you're an employer, Trez, right? When your workers don't do what they're supposed to do you just keep them or you got to let them go, right?
Gotta let them go with love.
With love. Well, listen, we got to learn with our elected officials. If they're not doing what we hired them to do, let them go with love and elect somebody else. But we don't collectively do that. And that's why we got so much disinvestment in our community. That's why so much seeds of discords are sown in our community because we don't understand the power that we really have. So my prayer as we go to break is that we understand the power and we tap into the power that is within us. And I will tell you the song next. Oh, I do got a song. Listen, I'm finna throw him under the bus. You know, see, that's what I'm talking about. This seeds of discord in the community. But you know, I'm like G-Mac Choir. I know the Lord will make a way. Don't go to where we got wave on the show right here on the Brunch Month. I can sit and talk about this for 12 hours.
Yeah, I kept saying I'm gonna get you down to man cave. I keep lying.
I was gonna say pussyfooting around, but I was like, I don't know if I can say. I don't know if I can say pussyfooting. No,
they said the show ratings just went up. A different demographic is turned. Yeah, but yeah, that's something I've always thought big. I remember I had meetings about 10 years ago in my coffee house when I was really into the let's get out here and clean up the streets and all that stuff. Cause I got tired of in the mornings. I would come down the weekends and pick up 40 ounces and condoms. I'm serious, bro. I believe. So I had a bunch of people come to the coffee house, man. And first thing these brothers gonna said we want to work on it. I said, well, what we probably should do is on the weekends, if we see people throw stuff down or whatever, kind of talk to them, let them know this is our neighborhood. We can go out. So let's go out here and pick up. Dude, first thing I start talking to people, everybody want to tell me how many degrees they got and what the. I say from that point on, I don't care how many initials you got behind your name. When you come through this threshold, everybody is equal. Everybody. And as long as you add value, you're welcome. But if you're going to take away, don't come through the door.
If you can't help them, don't hurt them.
Man, look, I believe in reciprocity, brother. If you...
Shut up saying your lane to what that transition sucked. It did, because I didn't know what the song was.
If we ought to be as powerful as we really want to be, it's going to take a lot of accountability, and it's going to take some people looking in the mirror and saying, I haven't done everything I could do.
Yep.
I could do more.
That's it right there.
It takes a lot of humility to do that.
Yep.
Most people.
But if we can learn to do that
and get away from envy, jealousy, backbiting, and hating,
and ageism, what? When I was younger, what helped me, I said, Trez, you don't got nothing to can for me.
I'm lucky to still have it in the cup the way this economy is. It's ridiculous.
But when I was in the rooms at 18, 19, 20 as an entrepreneur, I would tell my other young people, because I would see them in the room and want to take over the room. But you're young, you don't know. I'm like, but here's how I did it. I would go in the room and just listen.
What I tell you when I take you to these places?
I just listen.
I said, and listen for what people don't say, because that speaks louder than what they're saying.
I learned more from the bad than the good. I learned from what I knew I wasn't never going to do in leadership, or how I wasn't going to run my organization, how they treated people. It wasn't what they always said to me. I watched and listened. And every once in a while, I would say, I love that idea. Mm-hmm. But how about we take your idea and we add this to it, and we got it.
Yeah. Instead of that's stupid. I don't know why you think like this.
Well, that's old. We can't do that no more. No, it may work. Let's merge the two. Let's see how my young idea and your senior idea can come together and we make a great idea. Yeah. And so that's why I started my organization, and the mission was bridge the gap, bring generations together. Because we got to we all hands on deck.
Listen, there's an acquired skill, bro. They don't teach it nowhere in school on any level.
Nope.
Any level. That's why I said
we can get so much work. If we could raise $1 million a barrel in property taxes, now of course we'll be the enemy if we put everybody out. So you don't do that. But you figure out, you give them a chance to fix it. And then what that does too is now we're able to revitalize the houses. You didn't bring your Hennessy? Where your pockets at? Empty your pockets. I just called a business this morning on the block. They've been around probably 60 years. And you know what? It don't make sense that we rebuilding here, and here, and y'all ain't doing nothing. And I get it. Sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. But I said, you know what? Let me talk to. I called a friend. I said, I know you know the owner's grandson who got his restaurant in another area. Let me talk to him so I can see if I can help them apply for some of this funding so they can get their facade
do something, huh?
Yeah, because we need the whole block doing it. And it ain't bad, but it just ain't.
Sticks out.
Yeah, you know, but if we talking about redoing it, let's do it, you know, together.
But yeah, we
Did you want to do the in the raw intro?
No, just bring us in.
Okay.
Yeah, eventually I'm gonna have some at the crib. We can sit up and just really chop it up. Man.
Yeah, please, man,
I know
please.
you've been telling me, man.
Yeah, listen, but you know the way life been life,
Man,
it be hard to get out sometimes.
Man.
Look, I only got out last night. I had to take my son to my parents' house. And so I took him over. You rock with the brunch bunch right here on Inspiration 13.9. I'm going to kick Zoe, but she didn't give me no. She talking about get ready, no countdown or nothing. Just come on in. Well, listen, if you're not tuned in behind the scenes, I tell you, we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. TikTok is Trez saying.
Yeah.
But we have good conversations behind the scenes, and you miss some great information. And you know what? The brothers that we got in the building are doing some phenomenal work. And he said something, Jelon, earlier that, and because I get the same thing. I mentored a long time, so now I'm not saying I'm not interested, but I have to choose wisely who I mentor because time is of the essence, and everybody does not have good intention. So when I heard that you were the mentor, I knew you had to be somebody special because this brother right here, Brother Trez Pugh, is a Marine veteran, former federal agent, keynote speaker, and the CEO of Sip and Savor, celebrating 20 years as one of Chicago's premier, not just black owned, but premier coffee houses. He's a prostate cancer survivor and advocate for men's health. Trez continues to lead with purpose, vision, and impact. Let's give a warm brunch welcome to Brother Trez Pugh.
Give it up for me.
Now listen, you brought with your mentor, we've been hearing him, Brother Jelon Welch. He's a creative force at Live Nation and the founder of Don't Blink. A brand and movement that's all about staying focused, creating space for high caliber connections, and elevating culture through curated events. He's bringing vision and vibes to the city in a big way. Let's give an official warm brunch welcome to Jelon. Well, so listen, we've been talking economic development. We touched a little bit on politics, which, you know, in this culture is gotta be very careful, you know, what you touch on. But to see, and we talked on the break about bridging the gap and bringing generations together. This is a perfect example of bringing generations together. Brother Trez, what did you see in Jelon that made you say, I'll mentor him?
Right. So, first of all, he was thirsty. He was hungry for knowledge. We were being interviewed at a station, and he has this old soul. So the people that was on the panel, we were talking about things that need to be done in the community. Mm-hmm. And you know, when you could tell a person's heart and what they're about when they talk about we instead of I.
Yeah.
And we was always talking about what we need to do as a community, what we can do to improve, you know, the economic development piece in certain underserved areas. And this young brother started talking, and all he said was what he wanted to do for other people. Mm. And I'm like 3 times his age, to be honest. Right at about 3 times, ain't it? So right after we finished interviewing everything, you know, he kind of ran up to me, man, I really love what you're doing, you know, because I talked a little about what I did with disabled vets, recovering addicts. I talked about the coffee houses, creating jobs and changing communities. But at the same time, you know, people didn't know what I did for a living. So I was in real estate, I was a Fed, I was married. And he was like, man, all the things you're doing, I really want to find out and shadow you. I was like, no, sir. He was like, well, just let me get your number, man. I said, I don't talk on the phone, bro. I said, I give you the number to my people. He's like, no, man, I need yours, you know. And we sat there and we talked for about maybe 5-10 minutes, man. And everything he was saying was stuff that I would think comes from somebody like twice his age. I said, all right, young fella, here's my number, but I can't guarantee number. Man, he blew me up. He texted me, man. The rest is history. I had to bring him around my team. I said, this young man, I said, it's amazing.
Wow.
And so I brought him around Millie. I brought him around my daughter, Tara. I brought him around Whitney. I said, if y'all think I'm joking, just have a conversation with him. and he started talking about his ideas, what he wanted to do. People that was his age wasn't really into what he wanted to do. He seemed to be different. He thought he was better. I done been there before.
Yeah.
I said, let me grab this dude up, and the rest is history. I mean, he could probably talk more about it in detail, but yeah, I tried to duck him because seriously, if I can't give you all the time you deserve, I ain't gonna have do it. So I told him.
Some of them will get a little, I had a mentee tell me, you ain't a good mentor. I said, well, you a terrible mentee. You don't call to check on me either. But, that people expect so much more.
Yeah, but you make time for those things are important. I found myself, making time, bringing them to my meetings, whether it be with bankers, investors, took them to a couple of the galas and everything, gave them a seat at the table and say, you need get these guys' names, get these guys' numbers. And I mean, he'll give you his version of how it happened, but that's how I remember it. Go ahead. What do you think?
Not too far off.
It's like the episode of Martin and Gina when they tell two different stories about how they met.
Yeah, it's literally just like he said it. Shout out to my frat brother Matt. His mom had us on WVON that day, and when I met Trez and just listening to everything he was saying, I was like, "This somebody that I need to get close to. I need to get like next to him and learn everything I can. Even though I am not in the coffee business, but I was like, he's been doing what he's been doing for so long for a reason, right? And I was like, I can learn from everybody. So for me, I hit him up. He was like, "Oh yeah, catch me at the first of the year." Like, all right. So I hit him up after January, like middle of January. I'm like, "Hey, can I just come, shadow you?" I showed up to his shop, and he took me to all his shops that day, and I was able to meet Millie. And then from there, Millie had threw an idea out there. She was like, "Hey, I want y'all to do like a fireside chat tomorrow. Can you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah." It was like real quick. And then from there, just like the ball was rolling. And then he invited me to the galas. It was 2 of them. We did the Culture Ball, and then we did the Legacy. And from there, just like everything just trajectory was uphill for me.
Wow.
And just being able to be around him and his team, and they took me in like little brother, nephew. And he was like, they put their arms around me. He was like, "We got you. Like, don't worry about nothing. We're going to put you in the rooms with the right people because we know you're not going to fumble the bag." So for me, it was just like to have that, it motivated me even more because I was like, I have people that, see me in a different light and see me in the same light that I see myself in, right? And for me, going back a little background on me, I went to SIU Carbondale. I played football for 2 years and then I ran track for 2 years. And my parents just knew I was going to the NFL. But I always had something. It was just like, I told my mom, I was like, I don't want to play on a team. I want to own a team.
That's right.
So my mentality was just different from a kid. And I was like, I'm good on playing. Because I was like, if you making X amount of dollars off me, how much are, like, look at, I already know you paying me this, but you're making this off of me. So I was like, nah, that ain't the route to go. I'll work harder now. So then when I'm in my 30s, I could chill and do what I need to do. But to what Trez was talking about, definitely had to be consistent with him and just show him that I wasn't, wasting his time. Because I think that's important too. And it goes back to that piece we were talking about having discernment and having, being able to give your time to somebody that's, worth it. Because if I messed up this opportunity and Trez already didn't want to mentor, right? If I messed it up,
he ain't gonna do it for
he ain't
nobody
doing
else
it at all.
You done ruined it, right?
Hey, you want to do what? Nah, I'm cool. I got a bad taste in my mouth. I'm straight. So I definitely appreciate him and his team, especially like Millie. She made me look amazing in the public eye.
Well, shout out to Millie Frick with the Frick Effect. She definitely is a brand in her own right doing the thing. But Jelon, you said something. So shout out to Trez because if each one reach one and teach one, our young men in the communities will be so much better because they can only be what they see. And for you, Jelon, remember this. I learned this earlier. When someone opens the door for you, hold it open for somebody else. And if we continue to do those things, we'll thrive. So what inspired you to create Don't Blink? How does it reflect your personal philosophy and your creative journey?
So backstory on that, 2 years ago, it was New Year's Eve, and me and my frat brother Dom, we were going to a New Year's Eve party, and he just kept telling me, he was like, "Don't blink, don't blink." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was just like, "Bro, like the trajectory that we're on, we don't want anybody to miss it." So for me, I was like, "Hey, let's just turn it into a brand and we're going to build this, right?" And I had moved to New York right after college and I was still trying to work on it. And I was just like, really like taking my time with it. And then I got this like epiphany and I was like, "Bro, go full throttle. Just go full throttle on it." So for me, Don't Blink really came from that. And then I started to do my thing and I was like, well, how can I turn this into something that works for me? And I was like, why not bring people together of my caliber? Because everybody's always asking me, "Oh, Jelon, how are you in these rooms? How are you doing this? How are you?" And I was like, I can give you my cookbook, but if you can't cook like me, then you're gonna be mad at me.
Yeah.
Right? Because you'll be like, well, this didn't go right, or this right here didn't go the way you said it was gonna go. So I was like, I'd rather show you and rather than tell you. So I just had my launch party at In Session.
Okay,
Shout
congratulations.
out to them. And we were able to bring people from Interscope Records, Trez, you know, people that work for Leo Burnett, like all types of people from all different industries together, and to give them a chance to just network and connect the dots. Because for me, I felt like I was afforded the opportunity when I was living in New York with Thea Mitchell. You know, she's over, you know, the Midwest for iHeart. And she taught me, she was like, hey, like, I'm going to put you in these rooms and you just don't fumble the bag. Like, that's my biggest saying. Do not fumble the bag. So it's like, I'm going to let you connect the dots. And it's up to you at that point, because that's how it was for me. So essentially, that's what Don't Blink is. I love to bring people together that's higher caliber. And it's like people that actually want to do something, you know, because everybody is not afforded the luxury to have a Soho membership.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I was afforded that luxury because I told my mom I did not want to go on a graduation trip. Give me that money so I can pay for my membership.
Wow.
So she gave me the money. Her, my sister, and my dad, they all got together, gave me the money for Soho, and I've just been working. You know, it's cool to party and kick it in there, but I'm there during the daytime too.
To network and make connections.
To make those connections. So for me, I'm like, we're in the heart of the West Loop. And why not? We have Live Nation over there. We have McDonald's. We have Google. We have all of these Fortune 500 companies there. And the working man and the person that wants to connect and do different things, they don't have a place to go, you know, because everybody's always going out partying. And there's a misconception about what locking in is.
Yeah.
You know, people think locking in means that you got to isolate yourself from the world. You can't have fun. You can't go out. And I'm like, that's not what it is, because we're not in the music industry. We're not in the entertainment industry. We're not in the coffee industry. We're in the people industry. So we have to meet people every day to show them like, hey, this is my testimony. And if you like it, we can connect. And nothing might not come from it right now, but 2-3 years down the line, I might be able to help you and vice versa.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what it's all about, is connecting and making those connections, because essentially that's how I'm at Live Nation right now.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask you about that. So let's talk about that real quickly. Your role, what's your role at Live Nation? And what's the biggest lesson you learned about leadership while balancing your role at Live Nation and growing your own brand? Because that's no easy task, to work and build a brand.
So before I answer that, a phrase that I like to live by, my 9 to 5 is going to fund my 5 to 9. And we're going to create streams of income, not rivers, but streams. So my role at Live Nation, I'm a production manager. And basically the breakdown of that is I advance all of the shows. So advancing the shows, I'm talking to the tour and production managers weeks before the show comes in. We're ordering rigging, we're ordering lighting, we're ordering everything that they need. I'm looking at their riders, hospitality riders, regardless, like whatever that is. And then when the day of the show gets there, like I just had a show yesterday with Rima at Airgun Ballroom. And I was there from 7:30 until 3:30 a.m. this morning. So I was there all day, had to make sure the union workers had what they needed, had to make sure that everything got built, and then security meetings, giving out credentials, making sure everybody is situated. So if anything goes wrong, everybody's like looking at me to fix it.
Wow.
But also being able to balance that, I just think it's all about the willpower, you know, and it's not about, you know, motivation, but it's about discipline, because motivation dies.
Now, Jelon, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 22.
Now, you see, if you listen to him, you wouldn't expect a 22-year-old to know nothing like that.
When I was 22, I had been in business for a while, but I was on that do not call me before 10 o'clock regimen. So to hear you working and getting up at 3 and then get back up, I'm like, God bless you, brother. You know,
at 22, I had 2 kids and was living in Japan, struggling.
So that's different trajectories, but that's what makes the experience so dope.
Yeah, and I share with them the stuff.
So Trey, speaking of that, you said it yourself, not me, because you don't look like you will be 3 times his age, you know. But so God's been good to you. But
much.
You're celebrating 20 years with the Sip and Savor brand. What does that milestone mean? Listen, Sip and Savor is as old as Jelon here.
Yeah, pretty much.
What does that milestone mean to you, and what's the legacy you hope to leave behind?
Well, to me, it's so many words that come up when I think about it, because I think about the days I would be in there. When I worked full time, I only be there on the weekend, sitting in that chair waiting for a customer to come in on 43rd. And I would literally count how many seconds between cars because nobody came down 43rd in 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
And as you know, I got shot in 2004. I was supposed to open up in 2004, but I got shot, and I had to wait almost a year to recover and everything. I think the thing it means to me to be 20 years is sustainability. That's the word that comes to mind, you know, to go through not only being in a business where there was no foot traffic, no businesses, no housing for years, then to go through a worldwide pandemic, survive that, and now to go through some of the things that's going on in our economy, the things we're dealing with prices and cost and everything, and still be able to be open. It's so fulfilling that it seems like it's not really real, because them 20 years went by very fast, it appears. I think as far as the legacy, what I want to leave people sometimes think about legacy, leaving it for their kids and all that. That's a part of it. But for me, I want the legacy to be excellence. When somebody mentioned Sip and Savor, or they mentioned the Mocha Man or Trez or anything, it's like pure Black excellence. When you come in there, and you've been in there on many occasions, the place is just so warm, it's so inviting. You know, it's buzzing with ideas, you know, education, real estate, politics, sports, religion, whatever you want to talk about. They even dibble and dabble in relationships. You know, it gets kind of wild in there, but it's all on a respectful level. It's people in there that have started their businesses out of there. It's people in there that have got their masters, their doctorate. People, it's just so many stories, man. And I plan on doing something one day to get a writer or somebody coming in and just get all of the testimonials.
Oh, that'll be nice.
And put it all on some type of documentary or something like that.
Well, you got the in-house crew right here. All we gotta do is get Millie. You tell them to pull up. Millie gonna film them. We're gonna put it together. But that's so dope. Let me ask you this: there's a new craze happening. I don't know if it's just in Europe now, but I was watching where coffee shops are now turning into day parties.
Yeah.
Now, when I first saw it and they got the DJ, I was like, dang, these people getting drunk this early. But they not drinking. They come in the party and drink coffee before work. I mean, are we going to see that at Sip and Savor?
Well, we kind of doing it now. We just don't promote it as much. At our 53rd location in Hyde Park and the other one in Brownsville on 47, you know, we have a liquor license. It's just that when you have that kind of feel or setting, you got to make sure you have the employees that can man it consistently. I don't want to throw it out there. Oh, we having this and we having that, and we really can't man it because it looks bad. Right now, we're getting ready to do the Mimosa Sundays. You know, so I think that start on the 5th or something like whatever Sunday is. Tomorrow is our first Friday. You know, we got a Black brewery in there. We have a DJ. We have food, adult games, a lot of networking. So we do, again, we're more than just coffee. We do a lot of programming. Financial literacy. We deal with all kind of programming on mental health. You know, Millie comes in there sometimes. She ain't been in there in a while and talked about the importance of social media and everything. And, you know, what you should do for content and everything. I'm still holding my leg now. She had me doing double kicks and pull my
First of all,
hamstring.
your content has leveled up. And, you know, it was good, but you got it on another level now.
That's because I was doing it. It was horrible. I was in the man cave with bourbon, with my pit bull. They was like, what is this dude talking about? You know.
Well, shout out to Millie for the new skits and everything.
Yeah, she's ridiculous.
So you are a gift that keeps on giving, my brother. And I appreciate you always reaching out and asking how I'm doing and just opening up to want to, you know, share your space with me, because you don't have to. And so that's a great trait that you own. That you're a prostate cancer survivor. You've been shot. You've been a federal agent. You're a veteran. The list just goes on and on. And you decided to, I thought you grew up on the South Side in the hood, because for you to want to stay in the hood and build your house and all of that, you would think that's where you come from. You come from uptown. That says a lot about your investment in our communities.
I posted something, I want to say about 6-7 years ago. I got to go back and get it. I said, I love our people. That's why I built my crib in the hood. I started my first business in the hood. Everybody thought I was nuts. I'm serious. When I built that crib in Inglewood, it was like, what is he thinking? Well, I'm a visionary.
Yeah.
And you're a rehab, but you in the real estate. You got to see stuff before anybody else. You got to see this blank canvas, and then you got to see yourself painting this beautiful picture, bro. If I had to use any type of analogy, that would be it.
That's a good one. And you know, I'm moving back to the hood myself, and I promise you, I done got more. I don't think you should do it, or don't go, or don't. And I'm like, well, I'm glad God didn't give you that vision. He gave it to me.
Exactly.
And you don't have to see what I see. And so for all the visionaries out there, you got to be able to see what you see, even when you can't physically see it. Like Trez just said.
Yeah. And I would say this to them when people say, if I was you, I wouldn't do it. My comeback always been, good thing you're not me.
Good thing you're not me. So, Jelon, what can we expect next from Don't Blink in 2025? And how can creatives and entrepreneurs get involved?
Oh, so, you know, May 22nd, we got something coming up at Bodega. And it's my birthday, so it works out that way.
Oh, you're a Gemini?
I am.
Almost a Taurus. It's okay. I won't hold it against you.
I just missed the cut. But, you know, creatives can get involved by just simply following us at Don't Blink on Instagram and just hitting us up. I'm down for any collaborations. And I love to work out as well. So, like, we're going to do some run clubs in the summer. We're going to do some workouts together. I mean, the weather's starting to break a little bit. You know, Chicago's a little finicky with that. But definitely want to just bring people together. Like I said, you know, connecting these dots and bridging the gap, because there's a lot of people that's my age that's out here and they're trying to figure it out. And for me, I'm like, I'm going to make that easier for you. I haven't gotten to where I need to be yet, but you can't really be successful until you can teach somebody else how to be successful. And that's one thing that I always believed in. So that's one thing that you can expect from Don't Blink, from me and my co-founder, Dom. And, you know, just bridging that gap for everybody. And it's just not an age thing. You know, at my launch party, it was people from 21 all the way up into
Trez age.
Man.
I know you wasn't the cap, but I'm glad. I
said it before he said it.
I'm glad. Right. He about to say it. And then you was like,
I was gonna cap it off. But, you know, he took care of it for me. So essentially it's just like allowing people to know that it's never too late to start what you want to start. And, you know, just keep pushing forward and, you know, keep your eyes on the prize and just being able to change the narrative. That's all that matters.
I love it. So follow them on Instagram at Don't Blink. Don't blink and you won't miss them. Brother Trez, we don't have much time. I would say give all your locations, but you got so many. Let's just get a website where they can find them at.
You can go to Sip and Savor, spell out and. So it's SIPAND, Savor, SAVOR, Chicago, spell it out.com. SipandSavorChicago.com. And of course, follow us on Instagram at Sip and Savor Chicago, where you can see Millie work her magic. And you can follow me on Facebook, Trez Pugh.
Yes, listen, you want to connect with these brothers. If you need inspiration, you're looking, not mentorship applications are closed for Trez Pugh right now. But you can get some virtual mentorship by following him on social media, because he gives a lot of inspirational messages and he shares his testimony. And we want to connect with Don't Blink. And so we're gonna make Don't Blink our business spotlight of the week next week. So we're gonna pump you up. We're gonna get that commercial done. So let's give it up for Brother Trez and Brother Jelon. Listen, thank y'all for joining us on the Brunch Bunch. Trez, we're gonna have you back just to talk all things health, because you're a cancer survivor, and in our community, our Black men don't go to the hospital as much. And I was guilty of that for many years until we started going through health challenges at home, which so I got to make sure I'm okay, because everybody can be sick. So, you know, but you don't want to wait till something happens to get your exams and checked out. You got to be proactive, not reactive. So listen, we're going to be proactive believers, because we are out of time, but we're never out of content. We're going to leave you on this high note. And Trez, in 20 seconds, give an inspirational message to the aspiring entrepreneur out here.
Give faith, always believe in yourself, and the most important thing, stay humble. Stay humble and own up to anything that you do that it's not always right. Reciprocity is important.
That's it. Well, listen, let's give it up for Brother Trez. That was a message right there. And just stay humble. That 2 words right there are so powerful, because if you stay humble and God can trust you, guess what? He will continue to bless you. We trust that you will keep Love 24 alive. Tell someone that you don't know that you love them. Tell someone that you do know that you love them. Love will begin to spread like a wildfire. Tamara Fair, in your absence, I love you. Believers, we love you. Baby Eminem, we love you too. We get it done every day right here, Monday through Friday, 12 to 1 on the Brunch Bunch. Follow us at Brunch Bunch 1390 on all social media. And go to our website, brunchbunch1390.com for more information. Up next is AC Green. We get it done all night long right here on Inspiration 1390. Stay optimistic. Oh, it's Thursday. A wrong outro. Listen, thank you. Letitia Strahan said this is absolutely awesome. Awesome show. Letitia, I believe I saw your daughter when I was shopping on 75th Street. And I kept looking at it and I said, that young lady looks familiar. And I'm like, I realized it afterwards that I saw her on your social media.
Good job. Real good job.
All right, see you all tomorrow. For those of you asking, am I going to be here tomorrow? Yes, I will be here. I will not be ditching Friday because Tammy gone. All right, see y'all later.